Welcome to the Kodiak online course template. This template is a starting point for building an online course in Kodiak. But before you start using this template, you must first copy this template into your current Kodiak course. Please do not modify or delete anything from this course until it has been copied into your course. So how do you move it into your course? First, you go to your course, and I've got one right here. If you already have, this one is empty. If you already have content in your course, that's fine too. The template material will appear below whatever material you've already put into your course in content. So to copy it, be in your course and go to the Edit Course link in the nav bar on the right. Go to Import, Export, Copy Components. And you're going to be copying a component from another org unit. Org unit means course in Kodiak. And we'll hit Next. And then from the drop-down menu, select the course that is the template, which is the BUS GRAD template. Once you select that from the drop-down menu, the screen will grow to show you all of the course components. My recommendation is to take everything by selecting Select All Components. However, if you don't want to, you do have the option to just select individual items. But if you're just interested in content, understand that you must take content and course files, as these two things work together. So I'm going to do Select All Components with the idea that I will perhaps delete things once they're in my course. And now I'll hit Next. It's confirming the components I want to copy. Next again. And the copy happens and we get green check marks when items are successfully copied. And done. Now we are in my live course, and if I go back here to Course Home, it looks exactly like the template. So, what's in the template? Let's begin on the course home page with the News widget. There are a number of items in the News widget that I have put here for you that explain essentially what this template is and how it works. And then there's another news item that talks about how you might use the News widget. And then at bottom there is a sample welcome to your students with a screencast embedded within it that shows students how they can sign up for instant notifications to the News widget, which means that anytime you create a new news item, they're going to get either a text message to their smartphone or an email or both indicating that you've updated the News widget. And this is a great way to communicate with your students. So what you're going to want to do as regards the News widget is read what's here and then delete the items that are targeted to you, the instructor, and then edit the sample welcome to your students by selecting the pencil so that it meets your individual course needs. Let's move into content. Looking into content via the nav bar, I am looking at the table of contents in the editable state. Up at the top there's a module called Template How-To Documents, which is currently hidden. That's why you see the closed eye from students. So you never have to worry, students won't see this module nor the items within it. These are items for you. You've got a template guide, which is a PDF you can print that goes through the various features of Kodiak and streamlines them so that you can use so that you can set up your Kodiak course. There's also a 20-minute video on getting started in Kodiak. If you have not ever used Kodiak before, this is a good thing to check out. And there is the PDF on setting up your gradebook, which is also very helpful. You can print that. There's a document with a video on how to copy components, which is what I just did. And there's also a link to the Introduction to Kodiak for Faculty course, which is a great resource for you to learn Kodiak. And right now I am in Manage Content. So if I want to look at these things while I'm in Manage Content, I have these green arrows that jump me into the content viewer. I would select these to look at anything. Selecting an item by selecting its name will open the item in a new browser window outside of Kodiak, which is essentially a dead end. So to look at things when you're in Manage Content, use the green arrow here or just go directly to View Content. So we have this template how-to documents module, which is hidden to students with documents for you. And then below you have the basic structure of this template includes a preliminary course information module where you have topics that relate to the course and can be edited by you and represent some best practices in online learning. So you can take a look at those and edit any of them or delete them if you wish. There is also several links here. One is to the page of student screencasts that about, I think it's 60 33-minute videos that teach students how to use Kodiak. There's also within this template a discussion topic for course related questions and for Kodiak related questions, and all your students are enrolled in these and they can not only ask questions but answer each other as well, thus getting you off the hook for answering Kodiak related questions and or course related questions. Then the overall structure looks like this. You have a week 1 topic. The weekly outline / topic outline is here for you to use, to modify, or not use and delete. So you would probably want to change the word topic to something related to what you're teaching. Within these weekly modules, you'll find 2 sub-modules. One are resources and the other are activities. And again, this is a great way to structure an online course so that it's incredibly clear to students what goes on in each week, what resources are available to them, and then what activities are required of them. So within this template, I've also provided a link in the first week to a welcome forum activity and a sample Dropbox, and we'll look at this in a moment. Within the second week activities submodule, there's a sample quiz just to get you familiar with using the quiz tool, and a mid-semester course feedback, which is actually a survey. So let's now go back to Course Home and take a look via the Tools widget at some of these activities. I'll say it even though it is written right here in red. Students do not see this Tools widget. So any of the activities that you see here in Tools that you use and create, like a discussion or a Dropbox, will need to be quick linked via content such that students have access to them. So let's go to discussions. I select discussions from the Tools widget and I'm taken to the Forums and Topics list, where you see a list of forums, which are the bold blue in the gray bar, and the topics below them. Forums are merely categories. The actual discussion happens on the topic level, and you want to be linking to topics, generally speaking, so kids don't get lost when they click the link. Questions and answers, these are 2 different topics, one for course related questions and answers, the other for Kodiak related questions and answers. If you don't want to use these, you can simply take the links away to them or delete them here, but make sure you also take the links away from them in here as well, here and here. These links also appear within this Getting Started document. Let's get back to the discussion area. You also see that while it's not linked to, we've got a student lounge, which is a way to give students an area to talk about pretty much anything, and that way it keeps the discussions about anything out of your more content-related discussions. And then there's a forum called Weekly Discussions with a 5 topics for each week. Those are not linked to either. You're welcome to use them or delete them. Let's go back through Course Home to the Dropbox area. Within the Dropbox, I have set up 3 sample Dropboxes. I have linked to Assignment 1 Dropbox. When you select the pencil, you can edit the Dropbox, and in this case you would modify it so it works for your assignment. This custom instructions field is where you would put the assignment instructions, expectations prompt. This language right here, I recommend you leave that because that's an instruction to the student who is submitting to the Dropbox. It's actually a 2-step process where they add a file and then they submit, and sometimes they forget that they have to submit. So you can just drop this text down and put your instructions here. You can also say see attached assignment sheet and then add an assignment sheet this way by selecting add a file. So let's go back to the folder list. You can use these or you can delete them. The one that is currently linked to is Assignment 1, and it's linked to here. So if you delete the Dropbox from the Dropbox area, make sure you delete this link to it. Let's go back now to quizzes. There's documentation in the Introduction to Kodiak for Faculty course on quizzes, but because it is a fairly complicated area, I recommend working with someone in ed tech and training on setting up and learning how to use the quiz tool. But essentially, you should understand that the question library is where all the questions in your quizzes live. And when you create a quiz, you pull questions from the question library. So the first order of business is really to populate the question library. And you can see I've got 2 different sets of questions, sample quiz questions. And this is mid-semester course feedback, which is interesting. These are questions for a survey. So actually, the question library is where you pull questions for not only quizzes, but surveys and self-assessments. So I'll go back to quizzes. And you can see I have this sample quiz here that was created by selecting New. And this is the question library right here. It's always right there with your questions, and then back to quizzes to create a new quiz. If you're interested in using rubrics, I've provided a rubric under rubrics, which is a sample evaluation rubric for papers. The idea is that it's a lot easier to work with an established rubric and edit it than to create one from scratch. So you can see I've got one here that you can copy and then modify. The rubric can be attached to a Dropbox. Students would see the rubric when they're at first accessing the Dropbox assignment so they can see how they're going to be evaluated, and then you can actually score them using the rubric. This rubric, to use it, you would want to copy it first. And then finally we have a survey in here, which is for you. It's not an official course evaluation survey. It's just something that is available to get feedback on how the course is flowing about mid-semester. So in fact, you can take a look at it here. This is just getting feedback on how it's going. So it's there if you want to use it. It is linked to in content right here, mid-semester course feedback. If you don't want to use it, just delete it from here. You would select the box to the left of the item you want to delete, and then you would hit the trash can. Now, in the event that you are moving the template into a course that already has materials within content that you've set up, it's important to know how to work within Manage Content to reorganize things. You have a Move button here. So if I wanted to say move this mid-semester course feedback into week 4, I would select it, then use the Move tool, and then put it into the week 4 activities, and select Move, and now that survey link is there. If you want, you can copy an item by selecting Copy, and of course delete. And then you also have the reorder, which appears sort of locally on the module level, but also up here. Either way, it takes you to the same place. So let's say you wanted to reorganize what was in the template how-to documents. You would just change these numbers here and hit Save. So let's step back to Course Home. That is pretty much everything here. Good luck, and don't forget to contact the good folks in EdTech and Training for help.